April 15th, 2014. These are Earth-facing images from the Solar Dynamics Observatory. The two sunspots we've been watching are producing a series of bursts. Two of these flares, and I've counted 4 coronal mass ejections like this today, all Earth-facing. And that's going to build up pressure, both in your protons density and your electrons. And that's pressure on our plates, especially when they're Earth-facing. You see these side bursts? Now, the coronal mass ejections that I'm going to show you that are Earth-facing on the SDO from the red camera, we're going to start seeing that energy in the next few days, guys. The flares, you will see that energy sometimes within 7 seconds. But right in the middle of this image, between the two sunspots, there's a very fast-growing, smaller sunspot. You see it right in the center, guys. In 24 hours, even NASA is watching this now. And what it is, it's growing so fast, and it's right next to the other sunspot below it. They're concerned about it. Check that out, how fast it grows. Look at it at this different camera. Also here, notice the coronal mass ejections that are going out to the left from this area. There will be 4 in this image. 1, 2, 3, there. Then the strongest one is the last one I'll show you. There. That's the strongest. All are Earth-facing. Now again, look at dead center of the sun. That sunspot, they're watching it now. It has become beta gamma. The sunspot next to it is beta gamma. Nothing is triple configurated. But when they're growing this fast, it doesn't take much to produce an X-flare. Now back on Earth, this polar drift chart has started to change. You notice we're starting to get a curve back. And this is dated back to March the 16th. But look at the difference between March the 30th of last year. It's causing extreme weather here on Earth. Tonight in Mississippi, we're having to cover up plants and things. It may break all records. It already has predicted to break the last record in 1910. Amazing. This is the blood moon last night, guys. That's an amazing image. But there's 2 indicators we need to watch with our stock markets. One is this 10-year note. That's one of the flights to safety. I've watched this for years. It's one of the changes. If this thing goes below 2.6, between there and 2.58, there's going to be trouble because their other flight to safety lost about $26 an ounce today. Check this out, from yesterday there all the way down. So both of the flights to safety, the gold, the 10-year treasury, because they can rely on that, but that treasury's been dropping. So their 2 safety nets are being pulled out from under them. Now what that means for you and I is we have to be prepared, because if this gets yanked out from under the people like the Chinese, because the Hang Seng lost over 369 points today from Hong Kong. Guys, if that gets pulled out from under them, it's going to affect everyone. Now, I don't like them taking the Chinese money and buying up the West and making the farmers leave. Don't like it at all. And I don't care if they lose this weapon. We cannot live in fear because of money being held over our heads. Be prepared. If you need a garden, if you need a greenhouse, whatever you got to do, whatever you have to do, be prepared, because this is going down. The Bible tells us the gold and silver will be thrown into the streets and cursed, because people took it in hoping it would save them. Then when it came down to a loaf of bread to get through the day, no one would even talk to them or give them the time of day. You can't eat that. But this is the table of the money changers being turned over, guys. And when it's righteous indignation, just like when Christ did it, going up to the temple before Passover. It's going to be done again. He gave us the example in this last times of each feast and what would happen. Now you be prepared, because these guys are going down. And guys, the reason I say that is BLM is not through, and God is not through dealing with them. This is Tommy Henderson. He's in Clay County, Texas. The BLM officials believe they have the responsibility to manage land they believe is federal, which includes an estimated 90,000 acres along 116 miles, guys. This is the key of the Red River. If land is found to be public, BLM officials say they have 3 options: leave the land open, closed, or open with limitations. like they're going to do in Nevada. They're going to sell it. And guys, what they're doing with the rivers now, they're selling the river land, adjoining the river, to China. China's taking the water and bottling it and sending it back to China. Our president has already signed a deal, and they're already doing it during the worst drought almost in U.S. history. They're selling water out of the Great Lakes to China now. Again, the droughts are incredible. What's happening is we're having a land grab deal from nation to nation. The U.S. has participated in other countries, but this is America. We have to stand up. Guys, there may be another border battle in Texas. You guys in Texas ready? But they're saying, let me pull this down. I want to read it. It says the public input ignored. Land that had been in the families of ranchers is to be seized as public lands that would be subject to fees or blocked off entirely from the ranchers' use, or in some cases moving the boundary line over to Oklahoma, where Texas Rangers can lose their rights to the land that they've owned for more than a century. What they're talking about, this border thing, is if the river shifts, guys, as it floods, and rivers do that. It says, but they are moving forward with their plan to seize the land anyway. It says they opened meetings in January to take public input, ignored it. It says there was never any intention of actually listening to the ranchers stand. But here, let's look back over to the west. It's talking about Lake Powell. It says it's nestled between Utah and Arizona from high in the Rocky Mountains via the Colorado River. That's where it gets its water. It says more than 30 million people in 7 states depend on the mighty Colorado for water to grow crops, fuel power plants, and keep cities such as Vegas alive. But this year, the worst drought in 100 years has slowed the flow to a trickle. They want to take but instead of getting the water and saving it for the U.S., the way that Joseph was told to save for 7 years, they're selling it to China. In August, the Federal Bureau of Reclamation, almost the same bunch, cut by 9% the amount of water people in the southwestern U.S. could draw from Lake Powell. As states and counties squabble over their allotment of water in the coming years, hydroelectric plants, including the one on the Hoover Dam, could idle, and farmers are bracing for reduced crop production. It's incredible, guys. They're selling the land on the river. The Chinese are getting the water. They're growing crops on the land that the Bureau of Land Management is stealing from us and selling to them, and sending the crops overseas. That's why this table of the money changers is going down. Heads up, be safe.